black storm coming. See the lightning strike. Black people rising.
There are legends of people born with the gift of making music so true it can pierce the veil between life and death, conjuring spirits from the past and the future. In ancient Ireland, they were called Philly. In Choctaw land, they called them firekeepers. And in West Africa, they're called griots. This gift can bring healing to their communities, but it also attracts evil.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Umoja Circle. My name is Keith Smokey Johnson. I'd like to welcome you to this show, and for those of you who are new to the Umoja Circle, the purpose of the Umoja Circle is to correct errors where errors are found and to introduce facts where we find that so many people are working on fiction when it comes to who we are as people of African descent. And under that theme is what I'm going to be talking about in this new discussion. Based on, if you saw the little video clip, you got a guess of what I will be discussing today. I plan to do something that I normally don't do, but this movie that opening scene had a profound effect on me. And if you could be, I don't think anybody been under a rock since April would recognize that opening scene to this movie called Sinners. And I want to do a little review, but I'm going to do it a little differently today. I know there's all kinds of reaction videos on YouTube and what have you. I'm going to do it as I always do, using history, reality of our history, and to define how I view this movie. To me, the movie Senators is like, I look at it, and you might have heard many people say this before, but I look at it as a many-layered onion. And based on your knowledge of who you are, the knowledge of our history, and how deep you want to go into the reality of this movie, there are different layers of it. Okay, yes, it seems to be advertised as a genre of vampire and what have you. To me, it's not more of the vampires in it. To me, represent as a metaphor for other things, according to what layer of the onion you peel back. And some of you might understand what I'm talking about if you've seen it. But I'm going even a deeper layer as I go through my review of this movie. Every individual I know can find something hidden in that movie. That's the brilliance of this movie. And I want to give the writer and the director a lot of props in what he produced, and that's Ryan Coogler. But I'm going to also like to give all the other actors and actresses in that movie props. They did an excellent job. You see there the star, one of the stars of Michael B. Jordan. He played Stack and Smoke. Then you saw Miles Canton, the musical prodigy, who I found out actually just learned how to play the guitar a year before the movie. So he's not only a singing prodigy, but he's a musical prodigy, to do such an excellent job. Then you have one of my favorite in the blue, in the middle, Wunmi Masuka, and she played the beautiful Annie, a very powerful character. And Haley Steins also was very good in it. She played Mary. And then you had Jamie Lawson, who had that perfect name, Perline. I'd like to give her props. And big man Omar, I don't think he's in this shot, but Omar Benson, he was called Cornbread. You know, he played a dynamic role. I gave him prop. And one of my favorite actors up there in the back to your right, Delroy Lindo, Delta Slim, and the vampire was played by Jack O'Connell, and Remick. And then there was, of course, Buddy Guy in there. There was an Asian lady, Lee Jun Lee. She played Grace Chow. And the next one, and then, of course, the great Ryan Coogler there at the bottom. And I want to, let's go to the next one, the next slide there. I want to also, I have his wife, Zinzi Evans, over there. She's the executive producer, but she's his muse. And they're a dynamic couple. And in African tradition, you have to have that feminine energy in place and the male energy, and they produce great things. And their collaboration, and I don't think he could be who he was or is without her being who she is. And I got to give her as the queen in his life much prop in the production of this movie. I know he also did Black Panther. And the other reason why, as people of African descent, we reacted to the film that he's created, okay? I know that in the beginning scene, the little video clip, when they talked about the West African traditions, you know, they talked about the Irish, and then they talked about the Choctaw, but they used the word West African. West African is a large area of we all, as people of African descent, in the diaspora. And when I say the diaspora, not only coming over here in America, but throughout the Caribbean, all the way across the parts of Britain, and where we were, the boats dropped us off. But we came from about approximately 100 to 120 different ethnic groups. And one of those ethnic groups that is here, whose blood runs through our DNA runs through each of us, is the Yoruba people. And one of the things I want to emphasize in my review of this show, this movie, is the Yoruba influence. I know some of y'all are saying, what? You know, Yoruba influence? Yes, and I'll explain how brilliant this brother is. Now, I'm not saying that's what he said. I haven't seen no interviews where he said that, but from what I've seen, and this is just my review of how I saw elements of the African influence in the storytelling of the movie. Yes, I know it's about vampires, that genre. He directed this movie in such a genius way, in a way that he embedded African and African American cultural identity into a different genre, which is about vampires. But it was about the Africans in us and the African American part of us, the African part of the American part. Okay, in the American part, you saw the Jim Crow South, you saw the trauma, you saw the hell that we were living under during that time in the 1930s. But I want to talk about his storytelling. He is talking they use the term griot, and I don't like to use the word griot a lot. And here's why. Let me just go to the next slide. Now, griot is a French term, and I don't like to use the term of those who kidnapped us and those who tried to define us. That's where we get the N-word. That's where we get the terms, and that's where we get the knowledge of who we think we are based on their definition of us, those who kidnap. And when if you're familiar with me here at the Umoja Circle, I like to use the term that the people who created this genre of storytelling, they call themselves, at least in the West African part of Nigeria, where the Yoruba people is, and you'll understand as I go on. Before I even get to the movie, I'm gonna do a two-part, but I want to give you a background of why I'm saying it is an African story, a Yoruba story, but there's Yoruba essence that are put into that movie. Many of you might have gotten or haven't gone as deep as I am, but this is what I do at the Umoja Circle. Let's go on to the next term. The true West African term for an important storyteller is Jali. Jali, but it's pronounced Jali. That's the African part, not the griot. But I understand if you use the term. Sometimes I interchange them because, that's where our ears are used to. But our true African term. Now, they have, according to what ethnic group you come from, they might have other names for that, but it's the same type of tradition, the same type of respect, the same type of training that goes to. We are conditioned to believe. I said, a genetic memory understand these things. If you had any kind of profound feeling at the end of this movie called Sinners, and you couldn't understand why you feel the way, you have a lot of questions, it was because we have been disconnected from our past mentally, but our genetic memories recognize these things. Okay? This is how I see it, and this is how I will bring it forward to you. There is a reason why I'm using these West African terms, and I see Ryan Coogler as a Jali. He is, I think, in the movie, he is the real preacher boy. Okay, the person with that gift, the person that is able to break the veil, and the way this movie has been, let's say, received, shows me that he's done exactly that. The way you feel, okay, the way you feel about it. Okay, I want to show again, I'm not just coming from my point of view. I read. I always show you the books of my source of my research. I want to focus on a book right here to my right, and I'm going to turn it to the camera, see? Yes, called The Yoruba People from Prehistory to the Present Day. And this is what I'm getting a lot of this information, okay, that you see. I don't just talk about things, out of the top of my head. I do my research, and that's why I'm using the Yoruba people, because I've seen a lot of the traditions in there, and it's in that movie, and I'll prove it as I go on. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay. And I'm going to give you some background information about a Jali, or a griot, as the movie called, and how I compare what I'm saying to the kind of movie that Brian Coogler has put, like even Black Panther. There was a profound effect in the black community. A Jali healed the community. You saw people during the movie, the Black Panther, who was doing this all the time, wearing their African traditional clothes. That's what a Jali does. The Jali tradition is a vital part of West African culture, which we come from. Okay, we were kidnapped from that culture, but we still kept remnants of it. Just like the Delta Slim character said in one part of the movie when he was talking to Preacher Boy, he said, "We brought this with us before they forced that religion on us, and it's big." That's what he was talking about, our African traditions, okay? So another one of those hints of what was in that movie. The Jali tradition is a vital part of West African cultural heritage, playing a critical role in preserving history, shaping identity, and educating communities through the power of storytelling and music. That's what Ryan Coogler is doing. That's what I tried to do. I don't consider myself a Jali. No, I tried to do a little historian, the history part, but he's a true Jali in the way the genius of the things that he's accomplished so far. Let's go on to the next. A Jali is also an advisor and a mediator. Historically, Jalis served as trusted advisors to rulers and nobility, providing historical context for decision-making, and acted as diplomats and negotiators between different groups. They also mediate conflicts between families or communities, using lessons from the past, narratives, to help resolve disputes. They use stories to do all that. We were not mindless savages when we were kidnapped and brought over here on those horrible enslaving ship, okay? There's no such creature as a slave. We were Yoruba, Fani, Hausa, Angolan. We were people with these type of histories. That's the insidiousness of what was done to us, and we survived to be here, but we got to remember who we are. Let's go on to the next. The cultural custodians and educators, that's what the Jollies were. Ryan Coogler was educating us in that movie. We might not see it. We might think it's some kind of vampire movie. No. These kind of horror genres represent a metaphors for reality, okay? The horrors of vampirism is a metaphor for what was sucked from us, what vital energy was taken from our black bodies when we were in those fields, when we invented all these things that you see every February, Black History Month, all our inventions. We didn't get credit for it. All that stuff was taken from us just like a vampire. Jollies, though, in the land that we came from, were honored, okay? Jollies are the custodians of cultural values, customs, the social norms, educating younger generations about their heritage and traditions through their stories and songs. They also act as cultural ambassadors representing their community. That is what Ryan Coogler is doing with this film. You might not see it, but that's what he's doing. That's why I call him a Jolly. He is a Jolly. If you had any kind of reactions, and the veil was broken, because I've seen, again, white kids and people in Europe responding to this movie, and they had a visceral response that they could not explain. Some people cried. You don't cry in a vampire movie. But that, again, is more than just a vampire movie. That was just metaphors. But this is what he was doing to us, for us, healing the community, just like it was said at the beginning in that video clip. Let's go on to the next. Okay? Black people understand praise singing. Jollies compose and perform praise songs for patrons, rulers, or notable individuals, incorporating genealogical information and historical achievements into their songs. These praise songs help reinforce social cohesion and respect. Go to any church today, the black church today, and you'll see this African tradition. We don't understand that. And we had Jollies in our music business. To me, one of the great Jollies was Luther Vandross. If you ever listen to one of his songs, you were taken into another place. The veil was taken, was broken, and you were taken somewhere if you sat in the room, listened to him sing, or one of those gospel singers that many of you listen to in times of need. We have those instances in us. I just wanted to let you know that when you recognize who you are healing, and a Jolly does that. And Ryan Coogler, the Jolly, through the film, his instrument might not have been a musical instrument, it was the cameras and the directing skills and the storytelling that he produced. This was a real Jolly, and the way you feel is what we brought with us. It was big, as Delta Slim said. Let's go on to the next one. Okay? The oral historian and genealogist. Jollies are essentially living libraries, meticulously preserving the histories and genealogies of families, clans, and kingdoms. They recount tales of historical events, often in epic narrative form, such as the famous Sunjata epics, which tell the story of the founder of the Mali Empire, where Mansa Musa, the great emperor who sent all that gold when he went into his Hajj, Sunjata was the founder of that Mali. He's the one that's the person who conquered the great empire of Ghana, the great empire of Ghana lasted from 330 BC to 1250 AD when he beat them at a particular battle. Okay, so if you don't understand that, that's the kind of people that was kidnapped. Those are the people we descend from, these great empires, these great traditions, these great Jollies. And you think that no Jolly came over on those ships? That those stories were not passed down? It got maybe a little distorted, but the character of Annie, she was hiding the traditions. We might call it hoodoo, or some pejorative thing called voodoo, which is not, voodoo just means spirit. You know, and that's another thing. Why is our spiritual tradition looked at in such a negative light? Okay, because we don't have the true jollies. Our jollies would not recognize in this white society that we were brought in. This hell that we lived in, you know, that we had to do sinner things in order to have. That's why we had juke joints to release ourselves, and we are called sinners because of that. But if you live in hell for 400 years or 300 years, you're going to be doing things to release that hellish world that you're put into, okay? Why is our spiritual conditions considered negative or witchcraft or boogie? Yet we walking around talking about Thor or Zeus, okay? Thunder and lightning, right? We had those kind of gods too, and I'm gonna talk about them as we go further on and understand this movie. Let's go on to the next. Okay, Jollies adapt their narrative and performance over time, incorporating contemporary themes and issues to keep their stories relevant across the generation. Isn't that what is being done in the movie Sinners? Okay, it's an old story, or old technique, but he's using things in a current way so that it'll feed your soul today in 2025. That's why we had this visceral reaction. There's a genetic memory in us all as people of African descent that he's triggered with this movie. No different than any Jolly there. He is a Jolly. Let's go on. The storyline and some of the main characters found in the movie Sinners are actually based on West African Jollies storytelling tradition, again, of the Yoruba people. That's what I showed you in the book. Now I'm going to show you why. Let's go on to the next. The storyline and some of the main characters, just a repeat, of the Yoruba people. Let's go on to the next one. Now, look at this is the opening scene after that you saw when you first got introduced with the Michael B. Jordan character or characters of Smoke and Stack, Smoke in the blue and Stack in the red. Now, it is true that their styles. I've heard many other people who reviewed this movie said that it had to do with the Irish with the cap and the fedora with the Italians. That is true, the style is, but look at the colors. If you look at any type of African print, it's always colorful. Look at my shirt, it's colorful. But the colors have something to do with our spirituality. The blue and the red, that's why they have it on, is actually a Yoruba traditional colors representing Yoruba gods. Let me prove this. Let's go on to the next. Here are the Yoruba African orishas. Orishas doesn't mean divinities, okay? These strange words are sometimes twisted to make you think it's some kind of, evil stuff like that. That was based on those who kidnapped us, who human trafficked us, and had to justify their evil action by making it sound like we are the animals. But look at the elegance. We had our gods. We had our traditions. We might not remember them, but it's still part of it. If you look at the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a god's twins in red and blue. It's called the Ibeji. That's who Smoke and Stack represent, these African gods. This is a Yoruba thing, red and blue. There's a reason why they have red and blue, just the same as the characters. That's why I said it's an African story. Let's go on. This is another variation of the twins. In Yoruba tradition, the twins are considered the one spirit with two bodies. Okay, look at the name, Smoke and Stack. A smokestack is just one thing, but they got two people who are part of that one thing, smokestack, Smoke and Stack. That's a Yoruba. Twins are twin gods. They represent, and the characteristics that you're going to see in Smoke and Stack is you're going to reflect in these gods' abilities. Okay, that's what I say. This is a Yoruba story. Underline. If you peel the layers of that onion and go deeper, that's why I said what he's doing is magical. That's why I'm doing this show, to express how I see it. Now, I'll repeat. I didn't hear Ryan Coogler say anything that I'm saying. This is just from my 30 years of doing this show and studying and reading the sources that I recognize things. No different if you see a hammer and a blonde guy with a horn cap and he got lightning coming out of that hammer, you know that it's Thor, because you understand their history, their spiritual concept. Or you see a person called Zeus throwing a lightning bolt, then you understand what I'm saying. Let's go on to the next one. In Yoruba religious tradition, the twin brothers associated with the colors red and blue, like I said, are the Ibeji. Ibeji is the name of a Orisha or deity representing a pair of divine twins. They are associated with joy, mischief, stack, abundance, that's what they were trying to get, more money and stuff, and their protection of children, okay? The Ibeji are often associated with the colors red and blue. Let's go on to the next. The colors are linked to powerful orishas, other divinities, major divinity. One is the male god Shango. He's the thunder god, just like Thor, lightning and fire, associated with red. And Yamaya, she's the mother earth. She's the representing the ocean, water. Powerful. You don't want to get the ocean angry. And she's also a protector of children and associated with family. Okay, and her colors associated with blue. So those colors represent the association these two have with these greater gods. There are stories suggesting that Ibeji could be the children of Shango and Yamaya. In fact, there's many different stories, just like you have in all traditions. There's many different adventures that they have in the Europe told by the griot / Jali. Let's go on as they go from village to village. The Yoruba divine twin Ibeji associated with the colors red and blue, likely due to their connection with the powerful Orishas or divinity Shango and Yamaya. Let's go on to the next. This is Shango. Shango is the majestic king of thunder and justice, strikes down the falsehood with his powerful double-headed axe, just like Thor has his hammer. Dressed in flaming red, he commands storms and upholds divine law and protector of truth and dignity. Shango inspired the strength, courage, and righteousness, leadership, whenever his voice of thunder is heard. Okay, you heard that a little bit in Smoke. He's that thing. Okay, and look at the color. This is an image of Shango. Okay, red. Let's go on to the next. In Yoruba religion, and I ended here in a little bit, Yamaya or Umoja is a powerful Orisha associated with water, specifically rivers and oceans. She's revered as the mother of all Orishas. She's the mother of all the gods, and a symbol of motherhood, fertility, and ocean life, given power. She's also known for her nurturing and protective nature. You saw that in Annie, when in that scene. Okay, and last, before we go, one more. This is her with the twins. There's a story about her, a very stiff. So you see the red and the blue, and I'm gonna leave it at that, and then continue on, going more into the movie. So you see what I'm heading at, okay? I peeled some of the onions off, and I saw that tradition, the thing that we brought over here with us, that is big, as Delta Slim said, very big, and we'll continue. So until next time, peace, Hotep. Bye-bye.